Ma'am, please start.
Okay. A very good morning to one and all. Dear participants, meet our today's expert, Dr. Anuradha Kumari. She is currently Assistant Professor in Department of Dairy Chemistry, Sanjay Gandhi Institute of Dairy Technology, Basu, Patna. She has received her BTech degree in Dairy Technology from Indira Gandhi Krishi Vishwavidyalaya University, Raipur, Chhattisgarh, and MTech and PhD degree in Dairy Chemistry from ICAR, NDRI, Karnal, Haryana. She had worked for approximately 1 year as a senior officer at Sabarkantha District Cooperative Milk Producer Union Limited, Gujarat. She had also worked for 1 year as a senior research fellow in ICAR CFAT Ludhiana. She had worked as an assistant professor in dairy chemistry department for about 3 years and 7 months at Gadwasu, Ludhiana. Currently, she joined as an assistant professor in dairy chemistry department at Bihar Animal Sciences University, Patna in the last year. Her area of expertise includes whey protein ingredients, enriched functional foods, development of low-calorie sweetened products, and their detection. She has published 13 research papers in peer-reviewed journals, 3 review articles, 10 book chapters, 5 popular articles, and 3 practical manuals. She has also edited one book published by Springer. She has presented her research work at various national and international seminars and conferences and received several awards for Best Poster. She is the life member of Association of Food Scientists and Technologists, India. On the behalf of organizing team and SDIDT, NADCL, Baramulla, Jammu and Kashmir, I welcome you, ma'am. Now over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sonal, for introducing me so nicely. A very good morning to all. My topic of the lecture is FSSAI Licensing and Registration for Food Products. For this, first of all, we have to know what is the quality. We can understand with some examples, as if you want to talk about the quality of a mobile phone, it means it is the totality of the feature of its sound quality, its picture quality, camera quality, or storage capacity. Like this, we can explain the quality of a mobile phone. And in the similar way, we can, if you go for the food products, then the quality of any food product is the sum of different characteristics as sensory characteristic, physical, chemical, textile properties, microbiological, biochemical, and nutrition quality. So it is the sum of these all the characteristics. And we can define the quality as the ability to meet all the expectation of purchaser or goods or the services. And this is all about the quality. And there are 2 different terminology, quality control and the quality assurance. If you go for the quality control, it mainly focuses on the final product quality. It means it maintains the standards in the manufactured product. Manufactured means final product by testing a sample of output against the specification, whether it meets the that standards or not. If you want to take the example of a dairy products, then the quality control of any butter sample, it means it is the standard of suppose for butter, it is the standard of its moisture content, fat content, like this. So the quality control mainly focus on the final products, and it also vary according to the industry to industry. And if you take the industry like garment industry, it means the quality control of its design, specification, and need of the consumer. For food factory, and you have to maintain the health and hygiene aspects of the consumers, like this. And then next is the quality assurance. Quality assurance mainly focus on the process parameters. Process parameters, it means it covers the quality of from the raw material from the procurement and processing and dispatch, storage, like this. And throughout the whole chain, you have to maintain the quality of that products. So it mainly work on the principle of prevention rather than the detections. It means you have to maintain the quality at the earlier stage, so that you can get a final products. of a good quality. The main objective of quality assurance is to maintain the legal standards and the legal requirements, and to fulfill the customer's requirement in terms of various attributes. Attributes may be physical, chemical composition, microbial quality, or safety, like this. So we can know about the quality control and quality assurance. Now there are different regulations in India to maintain the quality of any food products. There are two types of standards: legal standards and the quality standards. Legal standards are those standards which is mandatory. And suppose, for example, the FSSAI, Food Safety Standard Authority of India, is an example of the legal standard. It means if any food producing company is providing, selling food products to the consumer, it is mandatory to follow the FSSAI standard. And in quality standard, it is not compulsory; it is voluntary basis. The example is there, like a BIS. BIS standard is a quality standard. It is not voluntary. It is not mandatory to follow the BIS standard for any food producing company, but they must follow the FSSAI standard. So we can see that there are two types of standard: legal standard and the quality standards. This is the few examples of quality standard and the legal standards. As I have told that the FSSAI is the legal standard in India. However, the AgMark or BIS are the quality standards. They are on the voluntary basis. Now come to the, we will brief about these standards. First of all, PFA Act. PFA Act was passed in 1954, and its main objective is to protect the public from the harmful and poisonous food. It means it mainly works on the prevention of the food adulterants, and it also prevents the sale of substandard food containing the harmful substances. It protect the society against the unscrupulous and anti-social dealers. And next, we have AgMark standards. AgMark standard, it comes under the Directorate of Marketing and Inspection, Government of India, and it covers various types of agricultural products like cereals, oil seeds, oil, creamery butter, ghee, honey, legumes, egg, etc. And the full form of AgMark is AG means agriculture, and mark means marking. It means the agricultural marking is known as a AgMark. And in AgMark, there are different gradings are given to the different these food commodities. They are graded according to their degree of quality. Whether its quality is high, then they will grade it for the special grade. Like this, there are different types of grade: special, good, fair, and ordinary, based on the degree of the quality. And we can see the logo of this AgMark in the packaging material. It looks like this. That is the example of honey and the coconut oil. Next, Bureau of Indian Standard. Its headquarters is New Delhi, and it's come under the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. And it covers both the edible and non-edible food products. And it came into existence from 1987 under the BIS Act 1986. The main objective of BIS is to formulate Indian standards for various articles, process, and method of taste, codes of practices, etc. And it also promote their implementation, and it promote the concept of standardization and quality control in different industries. It can coordinate the efforts of producers and users for making improvements in the material, products, process, and the methods. It also provide the certificates also, and it operates the laboratory recognition scheme to meet the requirement of the testing, offer technical and consultancy services within and outside the country. And it also establishes testing laboratory of its own also. This is all about the BIS. Now come to the FSSAI. As I have told that the Food Safety Standard Authority is a mandatory standard. It means every food producing company must follow the FSSAI regulation to sell this product. And FSSAI headquarters is located at New Delhi. It comes under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. And the act was passed on 2006, but it came into force on 2011. There are different food products are comes under this FSSAI, and like cereal, pulses, legumes, dairy products, fats, edible ices, bakery, and food additives, salt, spices, confectionery, sweeteners. So we can see that the most of the food category of the food categories are come under this FSSAI. And the past of this FSSAI is that earlier there were a different law for different types of food products. Like to control the food adulteration, there was a Prevention of Food Adulteration Act. To control the food products, there was a Food Products Order. There was a Meat Food Products Order Act. And like this, there were different law for the different types of the food products. So it lead to the lots of confusion both the manufacturers and the consumers also to follow this different types of act to eliminate this consumer to eliminate this confusion. All these act were merged into a single act. This is called Food Safety Standard Authority Act. And as I have told that it is mandatory act for any food producing organization. Now there are different types of function of this FSSAI. The main function of this FSSAI Act is to regulate and monitor the manufacturing, processing, distribution, sale, and import of the food to ensure its safety and wholesomeness. It also specifies the standards, guidelines for food articles. In the FSSAI, they have given the different type of standard. For example, if you take the example of a dairy products, then there is a special standard for different types of milk, like it is a fat and SNF standards are given for different types of milk, like toned, skim milk, mixed milk. And it also limits for food additives, contaminants, veterinary drug, heavy metals, irradiation of the food and processing aids, and covers the mechanism and guidelines for accreditation of certification bodies engaged in food safety management system certification. It also controls the imported food product quality. It specifies the food labeling standards, including claim on health, nutrition, special dietary uses, and based on the scientific evidence, the FSSAI is working. So there are different regulations under the FSSAI. If you go on the FSSAI site and click on that site, you will get this page, and we can see that there are different types of food regulations different regulations for licensing and registration process, and different regulation for food product standard, food additives, provision and restriction on the sale, packaging and labeling regulation. And like this, contaminants, toxin residue regulations, laboratory and sampling analysis regulations. Like this, we have many types of regulation under the FSSAI. Now come to the FSSAI licensing and registration. What is the process? What is the difference between the licensing and registration? Many people confuse with the licensing and registration. And there are difference between these two terminology, licensing and registration. In simple way, you can understand that if the capacity of any food product company is lesser, then they have to go for the registration. If its capacity is higher, then they will have to go for the licensing. Further, the FSSAI licensing are divided into the two parts: central licensing and the state licensing. It also depends on the capacity of the food producing company, whether they will go for the state licensing or the central licensing. If the capacity is lesser, then they will go for the state licensing. If higher capacity, then they will go for the central licensing. And then there are different conditions for the registration. First of all, I will explain the registration process. As I have told that if the capacity is less, then they will go for the registration. And it covers, the registration covers the many manufacturers or sellers of any articles, or even PT retailer, hawker, vendors whose capacity is very low, then they may go for the registration process. If the food business companies they are at a small scale or cottage scale, if their turnover is not more than 12 lakhs, then they may go for the registration process. And any food producing company, if their capacity is not more than 100 kg or liter per day, or if there is any dairy plants and its capacity is up to 500 liter per day, they may go for the registration process. If it is a slaughterhouse, if the slaughterhouse is about 2 large animals or 10 small animals or 50 poultry birds per day or even less, they may go for the registration process. Now come to the licensing. Licensing, if the capacity is higher, then they will go for the licensing. Licensing can be divided into the central licensing and the state licensing. First of all, state licensing. State licensing, if the dairy plant have a capacity less than 50,000 liters of the liquid milk per day or 2,500 metric ton of milk solid per annum, then they have to go for the state licensing. If they are producing any vegetable oil, then if their capacity is less than 2 metric ton per day, they have to go for the state licensing. Or it is a slaughterhouse, if its capacity is less than 50 large animals or 150 or more small animals or up to 1,000 poultry birds per day, they will have to go for the state licensing. And for meat processing units, if their capacity is less than 500 kg of meat per day or 150 metric ton per annum, they have to go for the state licensing. Like this, these are the few examples, conditions for the state licensing. Next is the central licensing. Central licensing, if the capacity is more than 50,000 liter per day, in case of the dairy plant, then they have to go for the central licensing. In case of the vegetable oil, if its capacity is more than 2 metric ton per day, they have to go for the central licensing. So we can see that there is a difference between state licensing and the central licensing. It can be understood in this single table, that if in case of the milk producing company or milk handling company, then if the capacity is around 501 to 50,000 liter, they have to go for the state licensing. If the capacity is higher, then they have to go for the central licensing. Like this, these are the different few examples as I have already covered. Now come to the process of registration or licensing for any dairy units. If you take the example of the dairy plants, if the capacity is up to 500 liter per day, they will have to go for the registration process, and the fee is around 100 rupees per year. If the capacity is around 501 to 10,000 liter per day, they will go for the state licensing, and the fee is around 3,000 rupees per year. If the capacity is even more, up to 50,000 liter, they have to go for the state licensing, and fee is around 5,000 per liter, and for central licensing, fee is 7,500 per year. So this is all about the fee for the registration or licensing procedure. And there are some formality they have to follow for the registration process. There are some documents are required for this, as they must provide the applicant photo or location of the proof of that premises where they want to start the business, or they have to give the proof, government proof like ID proof, Aadhaar, or voter PAN card, etc. And for this licensing or registration process, it's very easy. Now it is very easy process. It's all the online process. And if you go on the FSSAI site and click on foscos.fssai.gov.in, this page will open, and this page will contain 3 windows: general, railway station, and airport or seaport. It means at which place you want to start the food business, whether it is a general place or railway station or an airport or seaport. You have to choose and click on that specific premises. And after clicking, you will get a window like this. The window will open. They will ask for the to select the state, at which state you want to start the business. Once you select the state, this window will open, and here you have to choose what type of food business you want to start. Whether it is you want to start the dairy units or vegetable units, or you want to start a slaughtering house, or you want to sell a fish or food products. You have to choose accordingly. And if you click on that specific option, suppose if you click on the dairy units, then the window will open like this. They will ask the capacity of that plant. You have to select this capacity, and after selecting, you have to fill the form B. There are two types of form, A and form B. You have to fill that form. Then after clicking on this, they will automatically they will display if the capacity is more than 50,000 means you have to go for the central licensing. It will come like this, and after clicking on this red button for central licensing, the window will open like this. They will ask the name of the company or organization, address. These are the mandatory field. You have to mention the district, pin code, sub-district, and this is the form B for the central licensing. In this, you have to fill these information about the production capacity, category of the food, like this. Next is the form A. As I've told that there are two types of form B and form B. Form A and form B. Form A is for the registration process where the capacity is less. And suppose, for example, for dairy plant, if the capacity is around 500 liters per day, they have to go for the registration process and they have to fill the form A. In form A, you have to give the name of the applicant, company, designation. You have to mention this field, address, village, state, pin code, mobile number. These are the mandatory. You have to fill this in on the through online mode, and these are information also required in the form A. So, like this, you have if you have filled the form A and form B, so this flow diagram shows the process of registration. And in case of registration, you have submitted the form A. So after filling of the filing of an application, your application will be processed. After processing, they will decide whether you will be granted or rejected the registration certificate. If everything is right, then you will be granted the registration certificate. Or if you have submitted the application, or within 7 days of receipt of the application, if you don't get any response from the FSSAI authorities, it means you can start the business. Or if they have any doubt, they can ask for inspection. After inspection, if they were satisfied, then it is okay, then you can start the food business. This is all about the procedure of registration. Now come to the procedure of the licensing. Licensing, I have told that you have to submit the form B. Once you have filed the application of form B, you will get a unique application number and also require additional information on an incomplete application. If the information is incomplete, you will ask to fill that incomplete application. Once you have filled the whole application and submitted, if there is no response, then after 60 days, you can start the food business. It means there is no objection from their side. However, if there is any doubt, they will ask for the inspection of premises after receiving of the complete application. Once they have inspected, and if there is no inspection, then there is no problem. You can start the business directly after 60 days. If there is an inspection and the report is submitted, they will decide either they will grant or reject the license within 60 days of receipt of the complete application or within the 30 days of the inspection. So there are different chances, like your license may be suspended or cancelled, or they will ask for the improvement. They will provide the improvement notice, like this. And if your licensing, if you have filed for the licensing and your application is rejected, then after 90 days, you can apply for the fresh application to get the FSSAI license. This is all about the FSSAI registration and the licensing process through online. Now there are certain license. Once you get the license, you have to follow some guidelines given by the FSSAI regulation. You have to display a true copy of the license in the form of C. And if you see, if you visit the railway station or any airport, if they are selling any food products, by making themselves, then it means they must have a FSSAI license or a registration process depending on their capacity. There is a condition that they must have to display that form on that shop. If you go to that shop, you first see whether they have a license or not. If they have, they will have to display. It is mandatory to display that copy or give necessary access to licensing authority or their authorized panel to the premises. They must provide the access so that they can, the FSSAI persons can visit any times to check whether it is following the standards or not, or they must inform authorities about any change or modification in the activity. It is the responsible of the food producing organization to inform the FSSAI authorities if there is any change or modification, and they must employ at least one technical person to supervise the production process. There must be one technical person who will supervise all the process, and that food producing company must submit the annual return from 1st April to 31st March. This is mandatory. And they must ensure that no products other than the product indicated in the license registration is produced in that unit. It means food producing company must ensure that they are not selling any other products than the FSSAI approved product. And these are the conditions for the license. Some other condition also, they must maintain the factory sanitary and hygienic standards or worker hygiene. It's the responsibility of the food producing organization. Or they must maintain the daily record of the production, raw material utilization, and the sales separately. They must maintain a record. They must ensure that the source and standard of the raw material used are of optimum quality. And these are the conditions for the licensing they must follow. Now come to the role of food safety officers. Once you get the FSSAI license, then it is the responsible of the FSSAI to ensure the quality of the food products to the consumer. How they can do? They will allot a food safety officer. Food safety officer is a responsible person for inspection of the food business. They can draw the samples, or they can send them to the food analyst for the analysis. If they have any doubt, they can pick the sample and give to the food analyst for the analysis. And food analysis responsibility is that they will analyze the sample and send the report within 14 days of the designated officer with a copy of commissioner of the food safety. It's the responsibility of the food analyst. They will send the report within 14 days, and the designated officer will decide where there is any contravention and whether the contravention is punishable with imprisonment or fine only. If there is any malpractices, then the food business company maybe call for the penalties. And this is very important role of the food safety officer. There are different types of penalties, and if any food producing company is not following the guidelines, or they are violating the FSSAI standards, if the food products cause any health hazards which is injurious by means of deliberately adulteration, if they are adulterating the food products intentionally, or they are using any substance or ingredient during the food preparation which is injurious to the health, or they are abstracting any constituent for the food products, they are removing any valuable component from the food, or they non-conformance in the label information. If the information on the label is not right, then it comes under the offense under the FSSAI regulations. So if these type of malpractices are done, they may ask for the penalty or penalties. There are different types of penalties, and the amount of penalties maybe in terms of the monetary money or in terms of the imprisonment, depending on the type of the malpractices they have done. If they are not maintaining the standard of the food products, then under the substandard food, they may have a penalty up to 5 lakhs. If the product is misbranded, if they are, suppose if they are selling the whole milk in the name of the skim milk, it means it comes under the misbranding. They may have a penalty up to 3 lakhs. If they are misleading the advertisement, they may have a penalty of about 10 lakhs. If the food products contains any extraneous matter which is not, it means any matter which is not permitted by the FSSAI, then there may be a penalty of up to 1 lakh. Or if that food fail to meet the requirements as directed by the food safety guidelines, the penalty may up to 2 lakhs. If they are not maintaining the hygienic practices, penalty is up to 1 lakh. Like this, there are different monetary penalties. Penalties may be in the form of the imprisonment. If they are providing any food product which is not safe, which is injurious to the health, injurious but does not cause any immediate injury, then they will be go behind the bar for 6 months imprisonment with fine of rupees 1 lakh. If the food product is unsafe and cause non-grievous injury, then the imprisonment is for about 1 year with 3 lakhs rupees fine. If the food is unsafe, cause any grievous injury, then imprisonment is for longer time, for 6 years with fine 5 lakh. If they carry the business, any food nutrition company are carrying the business without the license, then the imprisonment is for 6 months with fine 5 lakh. Like this, so we have seen that there are different types of penalties under this FSSAI. So it is the responsible of the food producing company to follow that guidelines and to ensure the safety of and quality control of the food products to the consumer. As a consumer, we have different types of right. And if you have purchased any food products and we are not satisfied with that product, or we have, suppose if we have purchased the milk and I have any doubt that it is fat may be less, and I have tested the fat percentage and it is not up to, suppose if you have purchased the standard milk and as per the FSSAI, the fat percentage should be 4.5%, and I have checked and I found that the fat percentage is lesser, then I have right that I can complain this about this to the FSSAI. So there are different modes are available through which we can complain. We can complain through the FSSAI site also. We can WhatsApp on this number, or we can inform on the Facebook or Instagram. We can SMS also. Like this, we have as a consumer, we have a rights to complain if you have any doubt. So this is all about the FSSAI licensing and food safety guidelines for food business operator. At last, I want to thank all the organizing committee members for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Participants, any queries related to the session, you can ask. Okay. There is no question. You can raise your question in chat box also. Okay, so I think there is no queries, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much, Sunil, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for such an enlightening and detailed session. It was really amazing. And thank you very much. On behalf of organizing team and SGID team and NADCL Baramulla, I extend gratitude to deliver to accept our invitation and deliver such an enlightening session today. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Participants, you may leave now. Thank you very much.